Hi, I'm Danielle.
Hi Danielle, I'm Jeff.
So what brings you in to see me today?
I don't know, I have a lot going through my head, a lot of stuff that's been built up over some time. I don't ever talk about it, so I feel if I don't talk about it, then it's just going to weigh me down and continue to break me down like it has over the past couple of years. And I don't know, I just want to be happy again.
Okay, well I just want to let you know that anything you say is confidential. I can't tell anybody what we talk about unless you want to harm somebody or yourself, then I'll have to let somebody else know about it.
Well, I'm not suicidal just yet. Not to that point, but I do appreciate you letting me know.
What would you like to talk about?
Well, when it comes to talking about things that bother me and my problems, I kind of view myself as more introverted rather than the bulk of my personality I see as extroverted. I don't trust a lot of people. The close friends that I do have, I don't ever bring them in on my personal issues. So I feel like this is a good thing for me to do, to come to you and hopefully just vent and let everything out, and just hopefully I feel better at the end of it. So that's really why I'm here today. I talked to my parents about it, really just my mom, and she said that I need to find somebody to talk to. So I asked around a little bit, and then here I am.
Well, I'm not here to judge you, so whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to listen.
Okay, well, the main topic is my family overall. We're not what most people would consider a tight-knit family. We don't do a lot of things together, and we don't ever hardly see all of one another at one time. Nobody talks to each other. It's just, we're a bunch of relatives, but we're not a family. And I don't know, it's been that way for a little while, but now I think it's to the point where if I don't do something about it, or if something doesn't change, then it's just gonna become too much for me, because I like to see myself as a family-oriented guy. I want us to be close again, but it just seems so far out of reality, that so far from actually being able to happen, that I don't know what to do. I feel I put forth a good enough effort from my side, but everybody else is kind of wanting to do their own thing, and it's like I feel like I'm like the only one trying out of everybody. I mean, it started back, I'd say, probably my senior year in high school, going into my freshman year of college, when I'm the oldest in the house out of the family, and when baseball season ended senior year, that was kind of like the one thing that kind of brought everybody together. Like my parents, when they weren't getting along, they could be separated in the house and do their own thing, but when it came time for baseball games or tournaments, whatever it is, anything that happened to do with me in athletics, that's when everybody would come together, go to events at the same time, go to dinner after the events, and it was just, that was the glue. And I feared that once that ended and they didn't have that one thing to hold on to, that we would slowly drift apart. And that's what I believe kind of happened after senior year, when I was done with high school ball and I moved to Illinois. Along with me moving away, baseball moved away. We had a lot of away games in different states and hours away from everybody, so they wouldn't make very many games. We kind of cut down on family time back at home between the four of them. And me, of course, I'm in another state. And the beginning of the school year, my freshman year, during fall ball, it was October 15th of 2008, my dad's mother passed away. And she was kind of like the matriarch of our family. You know, everybody looked to grandma for advice when they needed something. Everybody looked for her for comfort. She was funny, she was smart, she was wise, she was the woman who had everything. She wasn't wealthy when it came to money, but when it came to knowledge, when it came to love, when it came to just the intangible things of life, she was probably the richest woman I ever knew. And when she passed away, it kind of hit everybody in a different way, but at the same time it was all the same. Everybody was impacted in a negative way, especially my dad. My dad was the man of the house, for a popular term, and that was his best friend. And it seemed ever since she passed away, a little bit of him died as well, and he just became a different person. He would be angry all the time, frustrated, question everything, question life, question God, question anything he never questioned before. Without his mother around, it seemed like he had lost a bit of his manhood kind of deal, like he was like a child again. He lost his sense of direction. He didn't feel he had somebody to turn to ask for advice whenever he needed guidance in order to provide for his own family. He would go through his mother, and she would be able to help him, give him ideas, give him the know-how on how to provide for his family the same way she did for hers growing up. And when my dad grew up, it was mostly just him and his mother. And when I grew up, for a lot of the time, it was viewed as just me and my father. So I had things in common with him in our upbringings, and I imagine I would probably react similar like he did when he lost his mother, his best friend, his everything. When I lose my dad, I feel I would probably react somewhat the same way. But it's the only difference is I have siblings who I'm really close with. I have a wonderful mother who I absolutely adore. So I have a little bit more to fall back on than he did. But at the same time, as I feel as the man of the house, as the leader of our family, our team captain, so to speak, I think he should have done a better job of taking control of the situation and handling his own emotions and still finding a way to provide and maintain his family instead of just being angry at the world and letting the foundation beneath him just kind of erode. Like I use like kind of like a waterfall analogy. Like the waterfall was all the pain, the suffering that came with the loss of his mother, and his family became the rocks at the bottom. With all the pain coming down harder and harder and harder, we slowly just kind of broke apart. And it was like he didn't pay much attention to it for a while. His attitude changed, his personality changed. He would always, growing up, he would love to play basketball with the kids, with us, me and my brothers and sisters. He would be at all of our sporting events. Our number one fan, and I don't know. After when she left, it was just like everything took a back seat to his own emotions and his own struggles. He focused more on himself than he did on everybody else, and we were all hurting too. It's not like he was the only one that was affected by it. I mean, it was my grandmother. She's an angel, and his lack of attention towards his family and his own lashing out whenever he would feel overwhelmed with things, he would take it out on us, and that would in turn lead to like us lashing back out at him, and it was just constant tension through the air. Everybody would always fight over the littlest things, trash getting taken out, yard work getting done on a specific time. And I understand that little things build up into big things, but instead of, hey, can you take this trash out? Hey, do you think you could start on that? Just little reminders here and there. loud voices yelling. Sometimes it would get physical, and he would always say to us, you know, I would never talk to my mother that way. I would never do that when I was growing up, and your attitude is shit. You're a punk. You're all this and that, and then that me being me I would lash back. I didn't like I felt like I was getting bullied by someone who would just have their own life insecurities now that their mother passed away, that he became insecure with himself. He didn't know how to handle himself. He wasn't sure how he was going to move on. I didn't like that. I took that as like a sign of weakness, and I didn't like being talked down to by somebody who I thought was becoming weaker by the day. I could have maybe looked at it in a different way and tried to help him a little bit more. But like him, I was too wrapped up in my own emotions with everything. My emotion being with my parents starting to fight pretty much on a daily basis, and my brother and sister starting to drift apart a little bit more. They're getting older, they're going out more with their friends, they're becoming involved in different things. We weren't as close-knit with each other. But my dad just became this angry man who took his anger out on the people at home, and then when the people at home would start to fight back, he would take it as a sign of disrespect and a sign of like a lack of appreciation towards him, and the frustration from all that he would carry on to work with him. I started working with the same company as my dad as soon as I came back from Illinois. I stayed there for 1 year and I moved back home afterwards. I missed my friends. I knew the family was falling apart, and I wanted to be here because I felt that me being there doing my own thing I felt that was selfish in my own right, and I needed to be home and still pursue what I was doing, still go to school, still do what I needed to do for me, but I needed to be here for my family as well. And
Family's very important.
yeah, family's the most important thing. You know, it really is. And everybody's family is different. Everybody has problems with their parents, and
Yeah.
you know, and I understand that, but I just think there's a lot of things that could have been different and should be different. And here it is, you know, it's 2014, it's been 6 years since she passed away, and instead of moving forward and after a mourning process, it's like we just keep moving backwards, and I thought coming home from school and everything would be a beneficial thing, that with my dad being in a weaker mental state, that I felt that I felt I could help being an adult now, and being like, I felt that I could add something, kind of pick up the slack, so to speak, and keep us together. I took it upon myself to try to take over man of the house while he was still there, and that was not the right move according to him. He didn't like that either. But with everything going on at home, with the outlashings and with his, I don't know how to put it in the words, his change, I guess, his change from one person to the other, with everything at home building up, he would carry it into work with him. And we worked for the same company. I got the job there as soon as I came back from Illinois, and I'm there to this day. But the frustrations at home would go to work, and then at work he would take his anger out from his home life. He'd bring it to work with him and take it out on the people at work. And then we work with a lot of we're all grown men there. We're not kids. He's not going to be able to talk to the guys at work like he can his kids or people beneath him, so to speak. And that in turn brought a lot of tension at work. A lot of the guys started to drift apart at work. The morale, the mood, everything changed, and it started with him. As soon as he would show up on a job, guys would immediately go from one mood to a lesser mood. Guys wouldn't want to work as hard. Guys wouldn't want to listen to him because instead of, just like at home life, instead of saying, hey, can you do this? Hey, you think you could do that? It was orders that were being barked. And I mean, some people with authority can get away with barking orders, but some people can't. And he's one of the people that can't. It was like he demanded respect from everybody rather than earn it. He didn't practice what he preached. He's a guy that would tell everybody to bust their ass and to work hard, and which we already did, but little things that could be improved, he made into huge things, and people just don't respect him anymore. Like you can't demand respect in this day and age with adults. You just can't do it. You have to earn it. You have to lead by example. And if you're going to be put in a position of power, whether it be through your employer, whether it be at home, if you're in a position of power, your actions speak for themselves a lot louder than your words will. And attitude reflects leadership. He was a leader at home. He was supposed to be a leader at work, but his attitude just was shit. It's horrible. And in turn, the people beneath him, his family members, his co-workers, they started to fall apart as well. When your captain's not up to par, you can't expect to have a good team. And it's just slowly, little by little, day by day, year by year, just becomes worse and worse and worse. And I've tried to talk to him about it a few times, and I don't claim to be the best talker. I mean, I talk a lot, yeah, but I'm not always the best with my words. I'm stubborn. I get it from my dad. And a lot of times when it came down to talking about things, I don't know if maybe I delivered a message wrong or asked the wrong questions, but every time I would bring it up to try to talk about it, I would always get met with denial. No, he would say things like, no, I'm not different. It's you that's different. I get met with denial. I get met with anger, frustration. It was like, he would always say things like, who are you to talk to me about how I feel? You're just you. And like, he said that a couple times. I mean, yeah, I'm me. I'm your child.
He wouldn't open up to you.
Well, he would never open up. And when people would ask him to open up, he would just get upset about it and lock himself away even further. And it just drove us further and further apart. I lost more respect every day. Every day I didn't want to be around him. And I lived with the guy. I worked with the guy. So not only would I work around him for 8 hours a day, be frustrated all through the workday, then I'd have to come home and deal with it. And there was never a wall or a divider between home life and work life. If you had a bad day at home, when you go to work the next day, it was carried there. If me and him got into a fight or an argument or any kind of disagreement whatsoever at home, the next day at work would be hell. It'd be tense and anger. We wouldn't talk to each other, and then we'd go home after an awkward day at work, which resulted from the awkward day previously, and it would just snowball. A bad day led to a bad work day, led to a bad home night, led to an even worse work day, and it just go and go and go and go until we would have an episode where one of us would snap. And I don't get bullied anymore. I don't take any shit from anybody. It's growing up, I was a small kid growing up. Like, I didn't really hit my stride until high school, and I got picked on a lot. Got picked on by bigger kids, and I skipped first grade. So here I was a first grader technically in a second grade class. I'm younger, I'm smaller, I'm mentally a little bit behind, but not much. But a lot of those things, those were easy targets for kids to pick on. That shit lasted all the way.
Kids can be cruel.
Kids can be cruel. Adults can be cruel. People
Yeah.
are cruel. But that kind of thing lasted until probably my junior year in high school, when I finally started to grow and started to lift weights a little bit, and people started seeing, hey, this guy's an athlete, man, he's got something. Maybe we should try to treat him a little bit differently. I didn't talk much in elementary school. I didn't talk much in high school until those last few years, and I could finally come out of my shell a little bit once I started getting a little bit more positive feedback from people in school. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I just felt I got bullied and talked down to a lot, and my dad was one of those people. Even though he was the person I looked up to the most, the person I trusted the most and loved the most, we'd always have moments where, we'd say father and son wrestle around on the floor. My dad's a pretty big guy, and I was a really small kid, so I'd always feel like I need to step it up a little bit and kind of hold my own here. Well, as soon as I would try to get a little bit tougher, I would be met with a hard body slam or a smack across the face or some kind of comment like, oh, you want to think you're the man, you think you can take this, you want to step outside. And I'm like 10 years old. I'm like, yeah, Dad, let's go outside. Let's go outside and fist fight like we're supposed to, I got met with things like that, and, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel comfortable for a long time growing up. I didn't. Like, school was rough, bigger kids. I mean, it was everyday thing, and it built me up. And when I would come home and want to tell people about it, when I want to talk about it, I didn't get met with that. I got met with another form of bullying. Don't be such a sissy. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't grow up the exact same way he did. I wasn't a fighter. I don't know. I have a soft heart, and I could never stand up for myself. And when I looked for maybe some help, some reinforcement at home, I didn't get it there either. So just like after Grandma died and we had a little snowball of problems, it was like I had my own little snowball that already started. A little kid from the constant bullshit. You feel alone in the world, and everything just kind of, human heart can only take so much before you finally snap on something. And I don't know, I feel like now, whenever I get angry with my dad, I always think of not just what he did at that particular moment to make me mad. I think of everything that he's ever done to make me mad. You step on my shoe. Yeah, I'm going to be pissed you just scuffed my kicks. But now I'm pissed that you scuffed my kicks. I'm mad that you didn't wake me up in the morning. I was late. I'm mad that you backed in behind me in a parking spot and I can't fucking get out. It's like the littlest things. Like, it all builds up, and I just want to freak out. And the only serenity I found in any of that stuff was when my family was all together at one time. I could never go to my dad one-on-one. I couldn't go to my mom one-on-one. She would always say, go ask your dad. That's a problem for your dad. And he'd always say, I don't want to talk about it. Don't be such a little sissy about it. Be a man. You got to be a kid first. I felt I didn't have I don't know, I didn't feel I was a kid. I just felt like I was I don't know.
You were forced to grow up too fast, or?
Yeah, in a way. Like, I still went to the park. I still played video games. I still did things that kids did. But at the same time, and I felt growing up, like, I would see, at, like, say, baseball games, I would see my other teammates, my other friends they'd get the high fives or the hugs or the attaboys or anything, whenever something positive happened. And whenever I would do something really good, say I hit a home run or I scored a touchdown, it was not once can I remember my dad saying good job or that he was proud of me. It was just like stuff like that was expected of me. Like, you're supposed to be good, you're supposed to do these things, and I didn't react the right way for that. I wanted the good jobs, the high fives, the hugs, to go to Dairy Queen, the little things that my friends would talk about that they loved so much, and I didn't have any of it. And I was just, why didn't I get any of that? And I mean, just my dad. I guess it's just the way he was. And I was angry growing up, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to channel it. I didn't know how to let it go. And my grandma, she was. I would call her and talk to her.
Sounds like Grandma kept the family together.
Grandma kept us together.
And so, if you could wake up tomorrow and life be different, how would things change? Just in the blink of an eye, how would everything be different?
Meaning, if my problem were resolved,
Yeah.
how would it change? I don't know. I've never thought about it that way. I've never been one to think of what ifs or anything. I'm a realist. I deal with reality and what things are, not what things could be and what they could have been. But I mean, I think if Grandma were still around, I don't think we would be divided the way we are. I don't think we would have any tension. I mean, there'd be a little bit, but that's with everybody. But I don't think my parents would be living separate. I don't think my brother would have wanted to join the military. That was kind of like his escape. That was his way of getting away from all the bullshit at home that I've talked about. He joined the Army and got out of there. My sister probably wouldn't have wanted to go away for school. She wanted to move away from school for her own escape. And me, I was the only one that went away but came back. And nothing changed. Nothing, it only got worse. And now, like I said, parents got fed up with one another, and it's mainly, from my point of view, I would say a lot of the fault falls on my father, because I felt he didn't do what he was supposed to do as a man, as a father, as a leader, to take care of his family. I don't think he did. I don't think he put forth the effort. I don't think he is trying to put forth an effort in order to save anything.
Do you think you can help him?
No. I don't. I've tried the best I know how. I visit him, I talk to him, and nothing changes. He's the kind of guy, he likes to play the victim. He never takes responsibility for any of his actions. He doesn't own up to anything. He wants to put the blame off on anything and everything else that happens. He's angry. Okay. I said, why are you angry? Well, if you guys would, it's always you guys. That's the key phrase in everything that he says. It's you guys. What about I? Why can't you say, well, I? Where's the blame falling on you? You don't take credit for anything. He'll put it solely on his mother passing away, is what he'll say. Well, it's part of life. Death is part of life, man. And she had cancer. She had been battling for a while. It wasn't a surprise. It was kind of like we knew it was coming, but it's still not something you could necessarily prep yourself for. You can try your best, but losing a loved one's never easy, no matter how. You can have a date, a time, everything to the exact second of when it's going to happen, but then that moment when it happens, everything that you thought in your head, how you could prep yourself for it, just goes right out the window. And he just became a different person. And when we needed him the most, he wasn't there. And he's still not there.
What do you think you can do to help make things better? How can you benefit towards that?
With his absence, a lot of the a lot of the I would say responsibility, a lot of the leadership falls on me when it comes to my siblings, and they're really who's most important to me. My mom, she's a grown woman. She's smarter than all of us. She'll figure it out. She's tough. I'm there to listen when she wants to talk, but I don't pry with my mom. She's by far the smartest woman I've ever met in my life. So she's okay. I ask her, and she's always said she's okay, and she assures me she's okay, and she'll come to me if she's not. And I believe her, and I trust her, and she hasn't done that yet, so she's fine. But my brother and sister, like I said, I'm the oldest, so when they need guidance of any kind, when they need someone to talk to, when they need advice, they always come to me. And I feel that that's the best thing that I can do. That's the best thing I can contribute with is my own, what little wisdom I have, pass it on to them the best I can, and just let them know that even though I felt alone growing up, that they're never alone. And my sister's never had to deal with bullies of any kind or any kind of adversity with kids growing up. My brother kind of did. He was a little short, pudgy kid. He was bullied for his physical features. I couldn't really help him with that. I mean, I would tell him, he's not as bad as people make him out to be. He doesn't. And now he's a fine man. He's grown into a hell of a guy. Sometimes I wish I could be half the man my brother turned out to be. He's changed himself physically. He eats better. He exercises. He takes care of his hair now. Everything. He has a sense of confidence now. Like, he has swagger about him that he never had growing up. He was more introverted, kind of kept to himself. Well, nowadays he's out there. He's a little party guy. He likes to have fun. He has a lot of friends. He brings a positive vibe with him everywhere he goes. He can walk into a room full of 20 depressed people. When he walks out, there's going to be 21 people that are happy, including himself. And it's a beautiful thing. I love him for it. That's what makes him him. And he likes to, when I compliment him about his good qualities, he likes to tell me that it's because of me. Because I told him growing up, I wouldn't say I'm conceited, but I'm very confident in myself in a lot of ways. And that's what I would preach to him. I say the number one thing that is most important for a young man is to be confident. And I just beat that into his head over and over. I'm like, you may not be the best looking guy in the world. You may not be the smartest, the wealthiest, or the sweetest, the most sensitive. You may not be the most of anything. But as long as you're confident in yourself and you feel that you are good enough, I was like, you will be good enough. And there's nobody in this world that is too good for you or you're not good enough for them. And now he believes that. And I feel like just that, I couldn't contribute anything more than that to my brother. That's the best gift I could give him, was his own sense of confidence. And with my sister, that's my baby. That's my boo-boo. She's my everything. And with her, I give security. Everybody that knows my sister, all her friends, all the little boyfriends she's ever had, anybody that is associated with my sister knows who I am before they know anybody else that she's related to. They know me before they know her parents. Before her other brothers, they know me. I'm always first for her to come to when she needs help before she goes to mom or dad. I'm always the first one. I'm the first one she'd call if she was in trouble. If she went out to a party and drank too much or did something like that, she would call me to come get her. She wouldn't call mom or dad. She talked to me about the first time that she was ever with a boy. She talked to me about that. She didn't talk to mom or dad about that. She trusts me more than she trusts anybody in this world. And like my brother's sense of confidence, my sister's trust, her security, that's the best thing I could give
to my sister. And my brother knows that I'm always going to be there for him. My sister knows that. She knows I would never leave her alone in any situation whatsoever, including the situation that we're in now, being a divided family. She may not have her parents together. They might not have their parents together at all times. They may feel that they can't talk to them about certain things. But they'll never, ever feel alone because they always have me. And I feel like that's the best way I could benefit this situation. I can't solve the situation between my mom and my dad. That's their marriage. It's their relationship. They're both grown adults. They're older than me. They should be wiser and smarter than me. They should be able to figure out them two on their own. My brother and sister and myself, we're all of age. We are more on our own now than we were any other time in our lives. And the best thing I can do to benefit everything is just to keep in control what I know that I can control. And the only thing I can control is how I act and what my actions bring upon, what consequences come from my actions. And the best thing I can do is just be the best person I can be.
Other things you think you can do to bring the family back together? Not like, like activities you can do, or go back to maybe try a baseball game to bring that back, or is that even in the picture, do you think?
I played sports still. Like, I play in basketball leagues, I play in softball leagues, volleyball leagues now, and I do various things throughout the year, but, I'm 24 years old now. My mom and dad aren't tag teaming to come watch me play a softball game. Those kinds of things are probably behind us. Now, this past Friday was the start of a new volleyball league, and my sister was a very, very well-decorated athlete in high school, one of the top female athletes to ever come through the school. And volleyball was one of her things, and she happened to be home last weekend. We were short a player. I said, "Hey, Haley, how about you want to come play some volleyball with me?" My sister and I were the athletes of the family. My brother was always really smart. He didn't excel in sports like we did, but we excelled in sports more than anything. That was an opportunity, like you said, kind of bring everybody together. I saw that as an opportunity, hey, Mom, I got a volleyball game coming up Friday. Haley's going to play too. You should come watch. Hey, Dad, we got a volleyball game coming up. Haley's playing. You should come watch. You got two of your kids on the same team at the same time. Yeah, that's a perfect opportunity just for everybody to kind of get together and do one thing at one time together. And Friday was the first time that I had my mom and dad in the same spot at the same time doing the same thing.
How was that?
It was okay, but at the same time it wasn't like it was before at either my sister or my sporting event. They didn't really sit next to each other, but they were both there at the same time. They did talk, but it wasn't a husband and wife conversation. It was more of like a mutual fan conversation. But nonetheless, it was a positive thing in my eyes. Any time you can spend with your family is a positive thing. I know there are people out there who would love to be in my so-called situation with a broken family because they don't have a family. I understand it could be a lot worse, but I also know it could be a lot better. Now, with the things that bring our family together now, I would say the number one thing that could bring us together is my son Aiden. He's my mother's first grandchild. My father has 4 now, because he has other kids from other relationships and they have kids of their own, but they live in different states. Aiden is the only grandchild that is around, And when it comes to spending time around him, that's when everybody can kind of do the same thing at the same time and be happy about it. It's impossible to be unhappy around this kid. Anything and everything he does is absolutely, it's perfect. I see it in my dad. I see the fogginess in his eyes that comes from his stress levels, his anger, his own frustrations. It all goes away when he's around Aiden. And my mother will forget all her woes with her marriage and family when she's around Aiden. I forget everything when I'm around him, and everybody can play with him at the same time. We can all go out to Chuck E. Cheese or Monkey Joe's together and have a good time. We haven't done any of that recently, but it's been mainly because I didn't want to. I don't want to be around my dad like I did before. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And maybe arranging a day where we could all go do something together, maybe that would help, but it'd have to happen a lot to maybe make a difference. I don't even know if it would or not, but I guess it could be worth a shot. But I just
something you could try every weekend, or how often do you get your son?
And he's with me every weekend and usually a day throughout the week. So the weekends are usually the best time. It's when I'm off work and it's when everybody's kind of off. But now's my opportunity for it. My sister's basketball has started up. Her college basketball started. And she's had 2 games so far. She usually plays on Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays or Saturdays. Sometimes both. Saturdays are an opportune moment. They're usually home games. It's only 2 hours away. Saturdays are a day that myself and Aiden can go to her games, and we'll ride with my mom out there, and my dad makes as many games as he can. We, like me in high school, and my sister in high school, when everybody would go to the games. Now she's in college and she still is playing sports, and it's something that we could all do together. Myself, my son, my mom, my dad, my brother. He's in Virginia right now with the Army, so he can't make those things. But her basketball games are an opportune moment for us to get together and be together and things be positive. It's the best chance I think that we have at doing things like that and accomplishing those things. But I mean, we tried it last year. Like, she's a sophomore this year. Last year, freshman year, we went to games, and there was a couple occasions where we got in arguments at the games. Even being at the games together with Aiden, with me, my mom, my dad, even us all together doing something like that, we still found ways to nip at each other and still find ways to argue. And I don't know. I feel like that's our best shot, but I also feel like we've already failed there before. So I'm not very optimistic about it working. But I also know that even though it might be a small shot, it's still our best shot. So I don't know. I think we all can make strides in becoming more mature, for one, the situation, less hard-headed, less stubborn. And if we all did it at the same time, I feel we could work it. But
what if you sat everybody down and let them know how you felt?
We've had a team meeting. We did that it was a couple months ago. Well, it was my brother was home from the military for a little bit. My sister was home, I was home, and my parents were both there, and this is before my dad moved out. We had and that was my idea, to sit everybody down, let everybody speak their piece, and let everybody say what they had to say, and nobody was allowed to interrupt anybody. Everybody spoke until they were done speaking, and once everybody was done talking, then everybody could chime in and have their response to whoever they needed to respond to. Yeah, it worked, but it was more like the bad kid in class who gets sent to the principal's office because he's acting a fool. Yeah, he's going to come back to class, and that kid will be on his best behavior for a day or two. Then once he gets comfortable and he's not in trouble anymore, then the little fucker's going to start goofing around again, and it's just going to go right back to where he was. He's going to go right back to the principal's office. Well, that's what happened. We had the conversation, we had our team meeting, and everybody spoke, and a lot of people said the same things. A lot of them pointed towards my dad's attitude, his own mishandling of his emotions as a downfall of our family. And if it didn't change, then we were going to fall apart. And he agreed that he had an anger issue. He agreed that he was messed up in his head. He needed to talk to somebody. And he agreed to go see a counselor about it. He went to anger management. He went to a psychiatrist. But he only went for a week. He would come home like, I feel so much better. And then he just stopped going. It's like, yeah, you feel better on Monday, but then you're going to get pissed off on Tuesday and Wednesday, but still feel you made a stride already, so you didn't go back. I don't know why he stopped going. I don't know why he never went back, but I did notice a little bit of a change. But I also feel it was kind of like in that honeymoon period. That's what I call it, like when the kid went to the office. Yeah, he's going to be on his best behavior for that little honeymoon period before he acted up again. I think that's all it was, and sure enough, it went right back to where it was after he stopped going to that, and it just got worse. And instead of saying, hey, maybe I should go back, he was just like, well, I already went and it didn't work now, so you were still arguing. And he just gave up.
It's hard to make people change when they don't think there's an issue, or they can't. Not everybody sees things the way everybody else sees it. And
Yeah.
once he realizes he actually needs to change, then I'm sure he'll continue going. But until then, you have to find ways to work around him. I know it might be hard, but
I mean, we've done bits and pieces of that. Like, I found different ways to channel my own emotion and kind of be able to release a little bit of pent-up aggression, emotion, stress. Like, I love to exercise. I love playing ball. I always have to be involved in some sort of activity, whether it be softball, basketball, weightlifting, boxing, anything like that helps me get some of that daily frustration, all that stress level just lets it go. And yeah, I mean, like you said, until they recognize a problem or see that they need to change, it's really hard to convince someone that they need to change. You can't tell somebody they have a problem if they don't think they have a problem, you know, but I don't know what else needs to happen. I mean, he's already lost his wife. He's lost his kids. Like, all his kids resent him now. He's divided everybody. What else needs to happen? I mean, he's alone right now. He doesn't wake up to his family. He doesn't wake up and make breakfast on the weekends. That was a big thing, but that doesn't happen anymore unless I do it. And it's a big breakfast. I mean, like, my mom and my son and myself. That's our breakfast. It's like, what else needs to happen for him to realize that he needs to change something if he's going to have any sort of happiness the rest of his life? Because I'm at the point right now where I have no respect. Like, nothing. Like, I can't look at the man and admire him for anything that he does anymore. Like, I can't look at him and be like, that's a loving man right there, that's a loving father. Because I don't feel he's a loving father anymore. I don't feel like it when I see his name pop up on my phone. I don't want to answer it. His name in my phone right now is not Dad. It's not Jeff. It's Dick Monkey. Okay, I mean, that's why do I do that? Because when I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, this Dick Monkey wants to call me again. Eventually, I just changed it. I don't know why, and I don't feel bad about things like that. I don't.
What if maybe you tried to invite him over this Sunday and maybe you guys made breakfast together?
I invited him over last Sunday, told him to come make breakfast, and he didn't show up. He didn't. He flipped it around. We talked through a text message, and I asked him if he wanted to have breakfast Sunday at the house. That was my word for word. Do you want to have breakfast Sunday at the house? Okay. I said, yeah, sounds good. So Sunday, I get up, I get my son ready, wake him up, get everything situated, play for a little bit. It's about, I'd say 9:15ish, somewhere around there, and usually when we did breakfast on Sundays, it would always be around 9:30, 10 o'clock on the dot. Well, Dad wasn't there yet, and usually he's starting breakfast before we even wake up, because when I said we made breakfast, I mean, we have a spread. This shit takes a while. He wasn't there, and I sent him a text and said, hey, are you still coming over to do breakfast? And about a half hour went by, and he texted me back and said, I thought you were coming here. Like, no, man, I'm not going to your sister's house to where it's just you and me and my son are going to have breakfast over there. No, my mom is here. You know, my sister's home from school the weekend. She's here. I'm not putting forth that kind of thing. I'm not cutting anybody out. I mean, when I say the house, I mean the house. That's our home. That's where I'm having breakfast at. And for him to even kind of assume that I was talking about anything other than that just blew my mind. So I was like, okay, so you're not coming. And he said, well, I already made breakfast for me and Tammy and Kent because nobody else was here. You think a phone call would have worked? You could have texted me earlier, confirmed things, instead of just assuming. Everybody knows that famous saying, what assuming does, you know? And that just, to me, that was just like a lack of effort. That was just a lack of commitment towards breakfast, the idea of breakfast. I mean, it was a big deal to me. It was more than just eating food. It was, like you say, kind of making an attempt to kind of piece the puzzle back together. But it's like, he talks like he doesn't want it. I mean, no, I'll take that back. He talks like he wants it when he talks, but he doesn't show it. You can say all the things you want to me, man. You can say words are words. They bounce right off of me. Your actions are going to have to show me something. And his actions haven't showed me jack shit. Nothing. And to me, that's a done deal for me. I'm going to be 25 years old and be one of those guys who says they don't have a relationship with their father. And I always felt bad for people like that, you know, who said they weren't close with their parents. Because I always felt that being close to your parents was something that everybody should do, everybody should have. And now I'm in that situation where I'm going to be one of those guys. Because, I mean, I love him. I always will. He's my dad. He's the only one I got. But he needs to still act like it. He needs to act like he has a responsibility towards his family, towards his children, his grandson. He doesn't need. Right now he's putting himself first, and that's not right. When you're a father, you never put yourself first in anything. I know that. I have a 2-year-old, and I know that. It just kills me that this man is 48 years old and acts like he's 10.
Well, I hate to cut you off, but we're out of time. But I appreciated you coming in and talking.
Hey, I appreciate you listening. It really did help. I haven't said those things to anybody. That's the honest truth.
You can come back if you want to reschedule another appointment, and the door is always open. I hope you can help get things back to normal.
I hope
That's
so
where it
too.
goes.
I hope so too. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. You have a nice day.
Thank you.